Hey folks, welcome back to Powerful Stoic Habits. Let's get real. You've tried everything. It was hard, wasn't it? Rejecting your own life, pushing aside your priorities just for them. You've bent over backward to make them see your worth, to make them miss you, to show them how much you care. You were there, always on call, always accommodating, always the one who'd drop everything in a heartbeat. You were kind. You were there at their beck and call, always the one to step up, never the one to say no. But what have they done to you? They treated you like a doormat, walked all over you as if you didn't matter. They rejected you, disrespected you, took every bit of care you gave and tossed it aside like yesterday's news. You tried to talk it out. You tried to reason. Heck, maybe you even begged, just hoping for a scrap of acknowledgement. You were nice, kind, and you gave them all you could. You felt the sting of rejection again and again, and the harder you tried, the more invisible you felt. It's like they were too blind to see your value, too comfortable with your presence, and too careless with your heart. But nothing worked. Not a single thing. You've exhausted all your options, except one, the last and most powerful card you can play: silence. So you disappeared from their radar. No more texts lighting up their phone, no more calls, no more just checking in. It's like you simply vanished into thin air. And that silence, my friend, is about to do more for you than any words could. It speaks louder than anything you could say. Now, the one they treated like a doormat, the one they thought would always be there, has vanished, and your silence is suffocating them. Sure, they might act normal in public, put on a brave face, pretending it's all the same without you. But behind closed doors, they're falling apart. Every quiet moment, every empty notification gnaws at them. They want to cry, they want to reach out, but their pride is locking them in that silent regret. They're haunted, replaying every moment they took you for granted, realizing they've lost something they'll never replace. In public, it's all smiles. In private, it's nothing but darkness and the crushing weight of what they threw away. In this moment, when they are feeling the regret, but wearing a mask in public, you have to stay grounded. You have to make them feel the regret. So affirm with me, folks. Silence is my superpower. Say it with conviction. Silence is my superpower. Believe me, it is a superpower. Just stick with me for a moment, and I will show you how powerful it is. But before we dive in, here's a little fun task for you. Hit that like button if our lessons are making a real difference in your life, and drop today's affirmation in the comments. Silence is my superpower. This matters, folks, because as our wise friend Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. So don't shy away from this moment. It's your life, and you hold this power. Why not declare it loud and clear? Go ahead, write it down for once and all. Silence is my superpower. Let's make it yours. And stick around, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how this silence shifts the entire dynamic, how it turns the tables, leaves them wondering, and forces them to confront the emptiness they feel when you're not there to cushion their ego. Ready to see how silence can be your loudest comeback? Let's dive in. So folks, before we dive into their situation and what's coming for them after you've chosen silence over disrespect, let's address something else that might already be eating away at you. I know you love them a lot, despite the disrespect, despite them rejecting you like an old habit they think they can just shake off. And because of that love, you're afraid that if you stay silent too long, they'll just forget about you. I can see some of you nodding your head right now, thinking, what if they move on? That fear, I know, feels like it's tearing you apart. But here's what I want you to understand. They're not going anywhere. You might see them wearing that mask, putting on that show that says, "I'm fine," like your silence doesn't faze them. But believe me, that's just a front. Behind that mask, there's a whole storm brewing. They're feeling the absence of your presence every single day, even if they pretend not to care. Your silence has already sunk in deeper than any words you could have thrown at them. And here's the truth. If they can't see your worth now, in this silence, then let's be real. They never valued it in the first place. And do you really want someone in your life who needs constant reminding to see your value? You deserve better than someone who only realizes what they have when they're about to lose it. This silence is a test, folks, a moment of clarity for them and for you. Because if they're too blind to feel your worth, even in your absence, then it's clear they're not someone who deserves your love, attention, or energy. And that's a powerful truth to embrace. So, hold strong, and let's dive into what's coming next for them, because trust me, they're already feeling the impact. And if you haven't pressed that like button yet, now's probably the perfect time. It helps push this video to more people like you who are looking for guidance, and honestly, there's nothing better than giving others a hand when they need it most. Ready to dive deep into their world of regret and realization? Let's go. Number 1. Realization that you're gone. So here we are, folks, at the first stage of their journey, the moment they realize you're gone. Now, don't underestimate the power of this moment. They're out there, maybe keeping up appearances, pretending everything's fine. But deep down, they're starting to feel it. That familiar warmth, the presence they took for granted, has slipped out of their reach. And now, in the quiet, they're realizing they can no longer just reach out and pull you back like they once could. But here's where we usually make a big mistake. Most of us, in this moment, feel a pang of sympathy or doubt. We start thinking, maybe I should check in, maybe I should let them know I'm here. We crack under the pressure and reach out, giving away that silence we worked so hard to build. This is the moment we slip and do that silly little check-in, hoping they'll finally understand how much they mean to us. But let's be clear, every time you break the silence, you break the power of your absence. This isn't a time for check-ins or for letting them feel safe again with your presence. Silence is about letting them sit with their own thoughts, their own mistakes, their own emptiness. And then there's another mistake some of us make. We think that our only job now is to sit in our rooms, waiting, watching our phones, wondering when they'll finally wake up and realize what they lost. But let me tell you, silence isn't about pressing pause on your life and waiting for them to notice you're gone. No, silence is about taking all that energy you poured into them and redirecting it back to yourself. It's about moving forward in your life, working on yourself, becoming stronger, sharper, more resilient. Think of this as an opportunity to transform, to become the person who doesn't just wait around, but actively grows, even in the face of their absence. Now, let's dig a little deeper. What if they love you? What if this absence shakes them awake and they finally see your value? That silence you've created gives them the room to understand what they truly feel. Think of it like planting a seed. In silence, with no watering from you, that seed either grows roots or it dies. If they truly care, they'll feel the impact of your absence more deeply than anything else. They'll feel a pull, an undeniable urge to fill that space you left, and that's when real change happens. But what if they don't love you? What if your silence means nothing to them? Well, then let it reveal that truth now rather than later. Sometimes silence shines a light on what's real and what's just smoke. You're not here to force anyone to value you. You're here to see if they can stand in that silence, feel your absence, and realize what they had. If they don't feel the need to reach back for you, then maybe this is your signal that they were never worthy of the energy you've given. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "If you want a true friend, break away from the ones who would not grieve to lose you." That's the power of this moment. They're either grieving your absence or they're moving on. And either way, you win because you're finding out who's really worth your time, your love, your commitment. Picture this. You're standing tall, facing forward, not looking back. You're creating a life for yourself that's filled with growth and strength, not defined by someone else's attention. And as you move forward, the universe has a way of making the right people notice. If they're the right person, they'll catch up. If they're not, you're better off walking away and never looking back. So here's an affirmation for this stage, a reminder of the strength you're building. I choose myself over their attention. My silence is my strength, and my path is my own. Say it out loud if you need to. Write it down, make it yours, and stick with me, because this journey is only beginning. Right now, we can't decide if they truly love you or if they're going to come back. This silence is just the start of revealing those answers. There's more to this journey, more stages where the truth will unfold, where their real feelings will come to the surface. So don't rush, don't assume. Let the silence do its work. Let them feel the weight of your absence. We're just getting started, and the answers will come soon enough. Each step forward is a step toward clarity, and trust me, you're about to see the power that silence holds over those who underestimated you. Stay tight, stay strong, because this is just getting started. Number 2, wearing the mask of indifference. Now, this stage is going to hit hard, really hard. They're going to act as if they're unaffected, putting on a mask of indifference that can make you second-guess everything. They might seem calm, posting on social media, laughing with friends, maybe even talking about how much better they're doing. It's all an act, a facade, but trust me, this can be the most confusing and painful part of the journey for you. This mask of indifference can make you question whether your silence is doing anything at all, or worse, if you meant anything to them in the first place. Let's get one thing straight. If they're acting indifferent, it doesn't mean they're unaffected. No, not at all. This mask of indifference is often the first line of defense people put up when they feel a shift in control. Think of it like a game of poker. They're bluffing, pretending like your silence is nothing but background noise, just to maintain a sense of control. They're putting on a front, trying to make you believe they're perfectly fine without you. And this is where many of us fall into a trap. We start thinking, if they're really this unaffected, maybe I should reach out. Maybe they don't miss me at all. But let me tell you, this stage is when your silence starts to get under their skin, even if they're doing their best to deny it. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him." In this case, your absence, your silence, is revealing something in them they're not ready to face. So instead of dealing with it, they're wearing a mask, acting like they don't care to protect their ego. Imagine their indifference like a shield, something they hold up to block out their own feelings. They're hoping that by pretending to feel nothing, you might be the one to break first, to reach out, to slip back into their life on their terms. It's like a tug of war where they're digging in their heels, but all the while they're losing their balance. They're in a silent panic, hiding behind this mask of indifference, praying you don't see the cracks forming underneath. This is where you must hold your ground, because the mask is just that, a mask. Behind it, they're feeling your absence deeply, no matter how well they play it off. And this is also where you have to resist the urge to check in or see if they're truly okay. You're not here to play their game or rescue them from their discomfort. The moment you break your silence, you give them what they want: control. Your silence is working, but only if you let it do its job. The second you step in, even just to make sure they're okay, you hand them the reins. Think of it like a quiet storm building pressure. They might be out there, going about their life as if nothing's changed, but inside, they're feeling the emptiness settle. The mask is a desperate attempt to convince themselves they don't need you, that they can go on without you. But deep down, they're starting to feel the hollowness. It's like they're trying to cover a deep wound with a band-aid, hoping it'll heal on its own. This phase is also where your strength is tested. It's easy to think your only job is to wait in silence. But no, there's more to it than that. Your silence is powerful, yes, but it becomes unstoppable when combined with action. Instead of sitting around, waiting for them to notice, focus on yourself. Imagine it like forging steel. Each day you work on yourself, you're strengthening the person you're becoming, and that's something they can't ignore. What if they love you? If there's real love behind that mask, your silence will bring it out, drawing out emotions they can't hide forever. When they see you growing, not breaking, they'll start feeling the sting of what they're losing. That mask of indifference will start to feel heavy, uncomfortable, because they're suppressing their real feelings. They'll feel a pull, an ache, something they can't ignore, as your silence becomes the loudest reminder of their own emptiness. But what if they don't love you? What if there's no emotion behind that mask? Then this silence is a gift to yourself, a way of revealing a truth you need to see. The last thing you want is to pour energy into someone who doesn't truly care. If they're truly indifferent, then you know where you stand, and that clarity is worth more than anything else. As Marcus Aurelius once said, it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them. If they're unmoved by your absence, let that judgment guide you to let go fully, without looking back. So, here's the truth. Whether they're hiding real feelings or genuinely indifferent, your job is to stay focused on yourself. Don't let their mask throw you off. Keep building, keep growing, and let them sit with their own discomfort. If they miss you, they'll come back on their own. If they don't, then they've freed up space in your life for someone who truly values you. Affirm to yourself, I am unshaken by their indifference. I am building my own strength and worth. Say it out loud. Remind yourself of it every time doubt creeps in. This is your moment to prove that you're no longer the person who's swayed by their games or hurt by their mask. You're becoming stronger, sharper, and more resilient every day. And stick with me, because the journey's just heating up. If you think this mask of indifference will last forever, think again. We're about to peel back more layers, and soon enough, the truth will start to show itself in ways even they can't hide. Hold tight, there's a lot more to come, and I really want to engage with you at this point. Let me know where you stand right now. Have you taken that bold step of becoming silent, or are you still wrestling with doubt? If you're confused or have a question on your mind, come join me in the comments. I'm always here to guide you through this. And if you have nothing specific to say, just drop a quick "keep it up" in the comments. It'll show me you're here, that you're committed to this journey, and it helps us keep this conversation alive for everyone. Number 3, feeling the weight of regret. Now we're entering a stage that they can't hide from: the weight of regret. At first, they tried to play it cool, masking their emotions. But now, your silence is hitting them like a heavy wave. They're starting to see the emptiness, the void you left behind, and regret is creeping in like an uninvited guest they can't ignore. In this stage, they'll replay every moment, every chance they had to treat you better, to show appreciation, to keep you close. It's like they're standing on the edge of a cliff, looking back over everything they took for granted. They're haunted by what they chose to ignore, realizing that each thoughtless action, each moment of disrespect, is now costing them something they didn't think they'd lose: you. As the great philosopher Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Right now they're feeling the end of what they had with you, and it's sinking in deeply. They might not say it out loud, but trust me, they're feeling that weight. It's not just loneliness, it's the sting of knowing they had something real, something valuable, and they let it slip away. Imagine regret like a shadow following them, always just a step behind, creeping closer the longer you stay silent. This isn't just about missing you, it's about realizing they made a choice, whether consciously or not, to push you away. And now, without your presence, without the safety net of knowing you're there, they're forced to face the truth. They undervalued someone they should have cherished. This is where most people will try to push regret away. They might keep up their social front, still acting unaffected, but it's a mask they can't wear forever. Inside, that regret is like a quiet storm, growing stronger with each memory, each reminder of what they lost. And they know they can't just undo this. The ball is no longer in their court. It's up to you now. They're no longer in control, and that helplessness is part of the regret they're feeling so intensely. If they truly care, this regret will start to weigh them down, leading them to moments of self-reflection and humility. But if they don't, that's a different story, because at least now you're seeing their true colors. Take a moment to remind yourself, I am worth more than their regret. I choose myself over anyone's temporary feelings. Say it out loud if you need to. Let it sink in. You're not here to wait around for someone to figure out your worth. Their regret is theirs to carry, and your strength is yours to grow. Stay with me, because this journey is far from over. Regret is only the beginning of what they'll feel as they face the full impact of losing someone they never expected would leave. So hold tight. There's more truth yet to be revealed. Number 4, trying to replace you with someone new. At this stage, they're beginning to realize the impact of your absence, but instead of confronting their own actions, they might take a shortcut. They start looking for someone new, hoping to fill the gap you left with a replacement. This stage can sting for you, watching them jump into a new relationship or fill their time with others, as if they can simply replace the connection you shared. But don't be fooled. This is an escape, not a solution. Picture it like trying to put a bandage over a deep wound. They're hoping that by spending time with someone new, they'll avoid facing the regret, the emptiness, and the reality that you're no longer there. This isn't about moving on, it's about distraction. They're using the presence of someone else to mask the absence they feel with you gone. And while it might seem like they're happier or that they're unaffected, remember, new people aren't a cure for what they're running from. This attempt to replace you is often more of a coping mechanism than a real connection. When we lose something valuable, sometimes the first reaction is to find a substitute, something that fills the space without requiring any real growth or change. It's like replacing a broken piece of a puzzle with something that doesn't quite fit, but hoping it's good enough to cover the gap. But deep down, they know that this isn't the answer. As philosopher Alain de Botton put it, people only get truly interesting when they start to rattle the bars of their cages. Instead of rattling their own bars, breaking free of their own limitations, they're staying inside that cage, hoping a new face will distract them from the truth. But that's all it is, a distraction. They might post on social media, go out with friends, and parade their new connections around, hoping to convince themselves and others that they've moved on. It's all part of the show, the mask they're putting on to keep from feeling the real sting of your absence. And while it might look convincing at first, the truth is, you can't replace something real with something temporary. They're trying to fill a gap that only self-reflection and growth can actually heal. Seeing them with new people can make you question your own worth. You might start wondering if they ever cared at all, or if it's that easy for them to replace you. But remember, this isn't about you. It's about their inability to sit with discomfort. A new connection might look like a replacement, but it's often a placeholder, something to fill time and keep emotions at bay. And if they don't come to this realization on their own, it only tells you one thing: they were never capable of valuing you fully in the first place. A real connection can't be swapped out like an accessory. If they're running to new people, it shows they're more afraid of the silence than they are committed to true growth or understanding what they lost. Keep this affirmation close. I am irreplaceable. My value cannot be duplicated or substituted. Say it with conviction. Their actions don't define your worth. In fact, this is where you see the truth of who they are and what they're willing to settle for. And remember, not everyone has the courage to face their own mistakes. Some people would rather hide behind the comfort of a new connection than confront the reality of losing someone irreplaceable. So stay with me, because the journey continues. And as they move from distraction to real understanding, the layers of truth will only get deeper. Hold tight. This is far from over. Number 5. When their world starts falling apart. Now we've reached the stage where their world truly begins to crumble. At first, they tried to act unaffected, putting on a mask of indifference. Then, they attempted to distract themselves with new people, hoping to fill the void left by your absence. But there's no escaping it anymore. Their life is starting to unravel. See, when you were around, you were their constant, their safety net, whether they realized it or not. You brought a stability they counted on, even if they took it for granted. But now, without that foundation, cracks are starting to show. They may have thought they could continue life as usual, but slowly and surely, things are beginning to fall apart. It's as if they're trying to hold water in their hands, but no matter how tightly they squeeze, it slips away. As the ancient Stoic Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. They're beginning to feel the weight of their own wants and desires, realizing that no possession, no temporary fling, no distraction can replace the sense of security and depth you brought into their life. This isn't just about losing you. It's about losing the balance and stability you provided. Think of it like a house of cards. They've been stacking up distractions, false confidence, and avoidance tactics. But without your presence as the foundation, it's all coming down. They're beginning to see the consequences of their choices, and it's starting to weigh on them. Small things that were once simple now feel overwhelming, and they can't pinpoint why. But you know the reason. You were the one who grounded them, and now they're floating aimlessly, feeling the chaos they created. Maybe their friendships are beginning to feel hollow, or their work has lost its meaning. They're restless, unfocused, missing that inner calm they once found in your presence. This stage is often where people start to feel a sense of loss they can't simply shake off. Their usual distractions and routines aren't working the way they used to, and they're forced to face an uncomfortable truth. They're struggling because they lost someone who truly mattered. But this unraveling is necessary. Sometimes people have to experience the absence of something valuable to realize how much they leaned on it. This is their wake-up call, the moment when the facade starts to crumble and they're left to deal with the mess of their own choices. At this stage, it's easy to feel sympathy or even a desire to step in and help. But remember, this is their journey, not yours. They need to feel the impact of losing you, to face the reality of their actions without your support as a crutch. They're starting to see that the world they built without valuing you was never as solid as they thought. So hold strong. Remind yourself, I am the stability they lost, but my strength is my own. Let this affirmation ground you as their world falls apart. This is a testament to the impact you had and to the reality they created for themselves. Stay with me, because as their world continues to crumble, the truth will only become clearer. We're just getting to the heart of it. Number 6. Struggling in the silent void. At this stage, the distractions are fading, the new connections feel empty, and now they're left in silence. A silence that feels more like a void, an empty space where they once felt your presence. It's here, in this silent void, that they begin to struggle. Gone are the masks, the pretenses, and the quick fixes. They're finally left alone with nothing but the echoes of their choices and the quiet reminder of what they've lost. This is the stage where they start to feel an ache that words can't quite capture. It's a hollow, gnawing feeling, a void they can't fill. For the first time, they have to confront the reality of your absence without any buffer or distraction. They thought they could push past this, that the discomfort would fade with time. But this silence is persistent, and the emptiness isn't going anywhere. Picture it like being lost in a desert. They're wandering, searching for any source of relief, a drop of comfort, something to quench this aching emptiness. But in this silence, there's nothing but the realization that they've lost someone irreplaceable. No matter how they try to move forward, they keep coming back to the same barren space, feeling the weight of your absence pressed down on them. As the philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "Silence is a source of great strength." Your silence has now become their weakness, their struggle. They once saw your presence as a given, something always there for them. Now it's become a haunting absence, a reminder that they were given something rare and valuable, and they let it slip away. The void is a unique kind of pain. It's not loud or dramatic. It's a quiet, relentless ache that only grows as time goes on. They might try to cover it up, to keep busy, but at this point, the silence is everywhere. They feel it when they wake up, alone with their thoughts. They feel it when they go through their day, unable to reach out to you like they once could. They feel it when they lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, with no messages, no reminders of your care, only the empty space they once took for granted. This stage isn't easy for them, and it might not be easy for you to watch. You might be tempted to reach out, to see how they're doing, to check if they've realized what they lost. But remember, this is their struggle, not yours. They need to experience this silent void fully, to understand the weight of what they let go. It's not your job to save them from this emptiness. What if they truly valued you? If they did, this silence will resonate with them deeply. It will stir up feelings they can't ignore, pushing them to reflect on how they got here. If they ever cared, this silent void will make them realize that they've lost something they'll never find again in anyone else. This emptiness is a reflection of the value they ignored, of the loyalty they failed to recognize. But if they didn't truly value you, then this silence will reveal that truth as well. Because if they can move through this void unaffected, then you know they were never as invested as you were. Either way, this silence will reveal what's real. It's a mirror showing them the reality of their choices, without anyone there to shield them from the consequences. Hold on to this affirmation. My silence speaks of my strength and worth. Let it remind you that your silence isn't a weakness. It's a powerful choice, a decision to respect yourself enough to step back and let them face what they created. Stay with me, because as they struggle in this void, clarity will only deepen. We're moving closer to the final stage, where the truth will come out in ways even they can't ignore. The silence, the void, it's all leading to the moment they finally face what they lost. Hold tight, because this is far from over. Number 7, breaking down or breaking through. Here we are, the final stage, the moment of reckoning when they either break down or break through. After all the masks, distractions, and attempts to fill the void, they've arrived at a point where they can no longer ignore the truth. This is where they face a choice. Confront what they've lost, take responsibility for their actions, and grow or stay stuck in denial, letting regret weigh them down indefinitely. For some, this is the breaking point. The regret, the loneliness, the silence, they're all too much, and instead of moving forward, they spiral. They're weighed down by a mix of guilt and loss, feeling as if they've missed an irreplaceable chance. The pain they once thought was temporary now feels permanent, and every attempt to distract themselves only leads back to this same empty feeling. It's a slow, quiet unraveling that can consume them if they're unwilling to face the reality of their own choices. Others, however, may choose a different path. They begin to see your absence not only as a loss, but as a wake-up call. They're hit with a moment of clarity, realizing they've been given an opportunity to confront the parts of themselves that led to this. This is the point where, if they have the courage, they start to break through instead of breaking down. They see where they went wrong, and for the first time, they may actually grow from it. Think of this stage as a fork in the road. They can either let the silence define them, sinking further into regret and resentment, or they can let it transform them. Like iron forged in fire, this moment has the potential to shape them into someone better, someone who finally understands the value of what they had. But growth isn't guaranteed. It requires strength and humility, qualities not everyone is willing to summon. This is where the words of the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius resonate deeply. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your silence was their obstacle, forcing them to either evolve or remain stagnant. If they break through, it's because they allowed themselves to learn. If they break down, it's because they couldn't face the challenge. And here's the beauty of this stage. Whichever path they choose, you're no longer tied to their journey. Their growth, or lack thereof, is no longer your responsibility. You took the brave step of silence, of walking away, of giving them the space to face themselves. You've done your part, and their choice now is theirs alone. If they choose to grow, they may return with a newfound respect, perhaps even an apology. But remember, this isn't about waiting for them to realize your worth. This journey was as much about you reclaiming your strength as it was about them facing their own shortcomings. For this final step, drop a quick commitment in the comments. I am free now. Because this is your moment. You're stepping into your own strength and leaving their journey behind. This is your release from any expectation, any hope that they'll suddenly become someone different. You've grown, you've transformed, and now you're free to move forward. As we wrap up this journey, remember, each step you've taken was about reclaiming your strength and setting boundaries that reflect your true worth. Whether they realize what they've lost or not, you've gained something far more valuable: clarity, confidence, and independence. This journey wasn't easy, but look at the strength you've found within yourself. Now, it's time to look forward. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who need to hear this message. Let's keep spreading the power of self-worth and resilience. And before you go, drop a note in the comments. Are you open to a new relationship, or are you loving your independence right now? Let us know where you're at. Remember, you've come so far. This is just the beginning of the freedom and fulfillment you truly deserve.